Tomorrow night here following NC2A basketball and your local news on the hour, we have the Gulf War syndrome. Spouses of veterans say it's contagious. And then Carol Shia, the cop in New York who posed nude and got fired. As a writer, painter, director, and now executive producer of the horror film Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, Clive Barker is well known as an artist with a vivid imagination, and we're happy to have him here with us on the color cast tonight. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh.
Yes.
Central character, a young woman, right?
Yes.
Family cursed by the Candyman, and she's trying to find out why and what the curse means.
Right. The Candyman appeared in the first picture of that name.
Right. And for those who didn't see it, or are just coming on board, the Candyman is or was
a black man with a body full of bees and a hand which is turned into a hook or has been replaced by a hook. And he's a pretty scary character, but he's also a kind of Phantom of the Opera sort of character in the sense that he's troubled and deserves at least as much pity as he does fear.
Okay, and maybe and maybe the Candyman has some conscience of some sort.
Oh, for sure. And he has motives. He's not a sort of blind serial killer. He's somebody who has vengeful motives. He's actually the spirit of a slave who fell in love with a white woman and and was parted from that woman and had his hand cut off and was fed to the bees, and now comes back if you say his name 5 times into a mirror. He's an urban legend. We created an urban legend. As a kid, I was told all these stories. We were all told these stories.
Sure.
I guess we were told them around campfires, and then we told them ourselves around campfires. And they were stories which happened to friends of ours. That was always the intro to them, because you always wanted to establish there was some truth in them. And you said, well, I know a friend of a friend who... And some of them were comical. Some of them were things like people drying off their poodles in microwaves, an urban legend. But then there were also the scary stories. There were the stories of the hook-handed men who came after lovers in Lover's Lane and so on. Sure.
By the way, when we were kids at camp, we would sit around the fire, as you say, at night, and we would talk about kids we knew that saw a vampire.
Right.
You know, kids
bogeyman stories.
Yeah, kids we knew who saw the wolf man at night under the full moon. And, you know, we'd go to bed under the covers kind of cowering at these people.
Well, part of the pleasure is that you do cower. I mean, there's certainly a pleasure in the fear, the frisson of fear.
Oh, there's no, people love to be frightened.
For sure.
Right. Now, let me ask you here, in Farewell to the Flesh, Candyman, what is his motivation with this family? You know, I said there's a young woman who's trying to find out why the Candyman has got a curse on her family.
One of the things we try to do with all the Candyman pictures is have a plot, which isn't always...
This is a good idea in a picture.
Doesn't always happen in horror movies.
Good idea in a movie,
horror movies are often plotless, but we've always tried to have a mystery element in here, and that's the heart of our mystery in Farewell to the Flesh. And in this Candyman picture, we have a connection between this anti-hero, this troubled monster, Candyman, and this woman, which I don't want to give too much away, because the story takes these characters through a kind of journey together.
I've got about 45 seconds worth of your picture here.
Okay.
Which will not give away anything. I believe this is a scene in which the woman confronts her mother, trying to find out more about the Candyman. So this is from Farewell to the Flesh, and you folks at home, you watch the monitors. Here it comes.
Your father was trying to destroy everything that we had by linking our name with that monster.
So you destroyed it instead, by denying the truth.
I am not a part of him. We're his family. No. We're his blood. I will not have him talk like that in this house. You can't wash him away with a bottle. There is no Candyman. He does not exist.
And you got it all going, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
You got the lights
music's going, the lightning's going.
He doesn't exist, this, baby. Oh.
Exactly. And that's the problem, you know, you can't say monsters don't exist because that's when they come for you.
Now, some people would call this a horror story. You prefer to use the term imaginative fiction?
Yeah, I mean...
You use your imagination with this sort of thing.
You use your imagination. For me, horror films, it certainly has horrific elements in it, but it has a lot of damn fine acting and good storytelling, and it feels to me as though horror has become debased in the last few years. And when we talk about horror movies, increasingly we think of just mindless pieces of bloodletting, and we've tried to do something better than that.
In the UK,
Yes.
you grew up in Liverpool, was
I
that
did,
right?
sure.
And lived in
Yeah.
London for a long time
Yeah.
before coming here. Were our monsters big over there, like Bela Lugosi
For sure. For
and
sure.
Boris Karloff?
But you see, I have to be a little possessive myself here. Remember that those stories were based
Were
upon...
yours, of course.
Yes, right. I mean, Mary Shelley.
We took a lot from you when we
Right.
came across the pond.
And that's right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And many of the actors who were in the Universal pictures of the 30s, which I'm very fond of, were English actors. I mean, Karloff, of course, was English.
Surely.
Ernest Thesiger was English.
Surely.
And James Whale, who directed what I believe to be the greatest American horror movie, Bride of Frankenstein, was English. Extraordinary picture.
You know, they used to show those when I lived in New York. They ran them on PBS back there at midnight. And I would sit there in the bed at night, you know, with the color.
Now, how old are you when you're cowering here?
Oh, God, I'm 45 years old. Are you kidding? Jeez. Phil, come on. Are you kidding me? You know, you're alone in the house in New York City at night, and it's midnight. And, you know, they always... Did you have one where the moon comes up? They all had... remember in Frankenstein?
Yeah, of course. Full moons, always.
Always.
Full
And
moons.
Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Good
sure.
eve, good eve.
Well, you see, the interesting thing about Dracula is that like Candyman, he elicits a certain amount of sympathy. For me, great monsters are not simply images of fear. They're also images that we feel a kind of ambiguity about. We're scared, but we also feel we get closer to them.
Dracula is doomed to live forever.
And fall in love with people he's going to lose. Carlos Frankenstein.
Unless, of course, he gives them the gift of
Well,
eternal
and then
life.
they're always sorry, aren't they?
Let me do a fast break here.
Okay.
We will continue with Clive Barker and your calls at 800-95-CBS-TV after these messages. We are back. Here's Mark in Napierville, Illinois. Hi.
Hi. Hello?
Yes,
Hi, Mark.
we're here, Mark. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to know what Clive's opinion was on the tabloid shows comparing the Candyman story to the O.J. Simpson trial.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I thought it was a nonsense. I did.
See, not seeing those shows, I did not even realize that the comparison had been
Well,
made.
what happened was that a number of press commentators made the connection between the advertising for Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, which has got the Candyman standing behind the heroine in a faintly menacing fashion, it has to be said.
Right.
I mean, no argument about that.
Well,
and
as we saw here in the clip where Mama denies
sure.
his existence. Sure.
For sure. And they said, they accused us basically of sort of riding the coattails of the O.J. Simpson tragedy
Oh,
to,
please.
you know. And my argument, the first thing what I said on Hard Copy was, you know, we made this movie a long time ago.
Long time ago.
We made the movie that this is a sequel to a long time ago. And there was no association whatsoever in our heads. We were troubled that somebody should have made that association. And as I said on Hard Copy, I felt it more reflected America's present preoccupation with the trial than it did about the
Right.
advertising.
Yeah, let's say no more about it. Mark, thanks for the question.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye. Your role models.
Edgar Allan Poe, Ray Bradbury. I mean, people whose imaginative worlds completely changed my vision of the world when I was a kid. You know, Oz, Narnia, Never Neverland.
Hitchcock.
Of course. And then a lot of obscure movies, French movies, Italian movies, Japanese movies, the kind of stuff that I saw on late night television when I was a kid.
You know, when I was in school, we went, the lady I was dating at the time, we went over to the art theater, and they were showing a picture there called Diabolique.
Oh, great.
Oh, geez, what a picture. In
Yes.
fact, I've got it on I bought it at the store years ago. I haven't looked at it. Who's in that?
The bath
Oh,
scene.
where the guy comes out of the tub? I mean, you come out of the tub. Geez, oh, my God, it's unbelievable.
Well, one of the great things about these kind of movies are that if they're done well, they're very much audience participation movies. You know, you get involved. You can't sit in front of Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, and remain unmoved. Even if
course not.
even if you don't like the movie, it's going to get hold of you. And The first time the first time for me was Psycho. I was, I guess, 16 when I first saw Psycho. I couldn't believe what was being done to me.
What about Hitchcock? You always knew who did it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't really mysteries in that sense, were they?
No. They were. You knew who the killer was, but everybody on the screen didn't know who the killer was, and so you found yourself, geez, don't go in there. Don't go in there. This guy's gonna nail you.
Sure. Sure. Except, I guess in Psycho, you didn't realize. I certainly didn't realize first time I saw it that Mother wasn't alive. I mean, when I first saw that movie, I assumed Mom was still alive. You know?
No.
No.
Mama gone.
Gone. Long gone.
Here is Daniel on the line in Atlanta, Georgia. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, Daniel. How you
Hi,
doing?
Daniel.
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Clive?
Good, thank you.
Listen, my question is, I'm wondering, do you find it harder to write movies and screenplays for American audiences over writing your novels, which seem more cerebral horror
I
than
find
the blood and guts that we're used to?
I find, that's a good question. There's a complicated answer to that. I find writing novels very demanding because it's very solitary. You know, it's 18 months, me and some pieces of paper.
In a room with blank pieces of paper.
Exactly right. Without anybody ever looking at it, without anybody ever saying, well, that's good, that's bad, whatever. Making movies is very collaborative. The ideas you have are a kind of blueprint for other people's creation.
Why do you write in a room? Why wouldn't you pick some other venue? Like, I remember Alex Haley told me one time, he used to go on tramp ships, freighters.
Oh, really? And just lock himself away?
No. He would write at night.
Uh-huh.
And for inspiration, he'd go out and walk the decks in the South Atlantic.
Well, I need the organization of almost like an office. I need to be able to go and at 8:30 begin the writing process and write 3,000 words and stop. I need the rhythm of that. I need this kind of organization of that. Whereas movies, you know, it's a bunch of people. It's a bunch of ideas. It's a collaboration.
Sure.
And the fun for me of that is that people come up with better ideas constantly. That you're dealing with a bunch of people who can be saying, you know what, we can improve that.
Yeah, what would happen if? And you try something
else.
Right.
Now, but taking up Daniel's point, there is also, and this is a problem for me, movie audiences are less intellectually demanding than readers.
I'm down to 30 seconds, as you should know.
It's all yours.
Oh, okay. Daniel, thanks for joining, and thanks for the question.
Thank you very much.
Quickly, what scares you? What are you scared of?
Not a whole heap. Really? My nightmares have been folded into my waking life in a way which I think is probably quite therapeutic.
I've enjoyed talking with you and meeting you tonight. I hope you'll come back soon.
I will indeed.
All right, thank you. Clive Barker, folks. The picture is called Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh. Opening countrywide, nationwide, on Friday. Okay. Back to wrap it up after these messages. Tomorrow night here, the Gulf War Syndrome, the aftermath of brilliant coverage by CBS 60 Minutes on Sunday night. And also tomorrow, somewhere along the line, pictures of Jon Stewart and Holy People. Now stay tuned for Tom and Elliot on the Late Late Radio Show at 1-800-890-9990. Drive safely on the way home. Thank you all for watching. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station. Sleep tight in North America.